Good morning, everybody. I apologize for the technical difficulties that occurred before. Yes, things are working now. It's Larsen Live. It is January 14th. And as the title of the stream says, the potatoes win the day. Potatoes killed it this week. We're going to get to that in a little bit. But first, we have some comments already, which is good. Okay, Tony Gilbert says, how's it going? It's going pretty good. Thank you. C Punk Messiah is also a fan of Korpiklaani. That was their song "Let's Drink," the first song on their album Tervascanto. Uh, the song is not specifically about any drink, but I thought vodka was pretty appropriate considering that potatoes had a good week today. But before we get to that, Tony Gilbert says, "Did you hear about California banning all fur sales? A lot of fur traders are going to be out of work." I question how many dedicated furriers there are in the world today. Uh, I mean, in all honesty, I don't mind wearing fur clothing as long as you eat the meat and utilize all the bits of the animal. Which, just FYI, any person who has a dearth of resources is going to use every scrap of that animal. And if you don't believe me, look up what head cheese is. That's a horrifying looking meat product which uses scraps of skin and assorted, barely edible bits of flesh. Because medieval European butchers had to use every part of that animal. Yeah, seriously, like do yourselves a favor or don't and look up what head cheese looks like on Wikipedia. It literally looks like something out of Doom. Like just this wall of wall of like flesh like sticking out some brown glop. I mean, I've never been to hell, but I imagine it looks a little something like Sulze, which is specifically German type of head cheese. But yes, okay, Tony Gilbert says he's in Washington State, so there's a lot of furriers, and I love head cheese. Uh, yeah, I'm gonna have to I come from a family of butchers, but yeah, head cheese not my favorite cold cut. I understand you got to use your resources, but woof. So anyway, yeah, what happened with the potatoes? Tony Gilbert also says that head cheese goes great with crackers. I'll take your word for it. I don't eat anything that looks like it came out of the bowels of hell itself, to be quite honest. Like, seriously, I'm looking on Wikipedia right now at head cheese. It's specifically the German Sulza head cheese, and it's like this brown gelatin glob, and there's just slabs of meat sticking out of it. I mean, you could literally use this as a texture, a skybox in the original Doom, and I don't think anybody would have looked twice at it. Oh, that's just John Romero doing some kind of demonic art texture. Also, did the original Doom use skyboxing, or was that more of a 3D thing? Nah, now I have to look that up. I'm getting very distracted here. And let's see. Skybox is a method of creating backgrounds to make video game levels appear larger than it really is. Oh, so it's more of a 3D thing. Yeah, because usually when you hear people talk about skyboxes, it's like the early 3D games like Super Mario 64. Yeah, I don't know if like the sprite based. Actually, yeah, I guess Doom would technically be a 3D game, even though it is sprite based. Yeah, I think Doom used skyboxing actually. Okay. All right. So anyway, what happened with potatoes? I got to finally get on topic here. Potatoes prove themselves to be the king of the vegetables again and again because medical research has shown that boiled potato peels, strictly boiled potato peels specifically, they outperform standard gauze medical dressings for successful recovery of burn wounds. Which is strange because potato peels themselves apparently have no intrinsic antibacterial uh, traits. But despite that, just putting boiled potato peels on burn wounds prompts faster healing than your standard gauze dressings. The abstract says histological and clinical studies have been made on comparable burn wounds covered with either potato peels affixed to the gauze or just the gauze by themselves. Okay, both dressings were applied over a thin layer of 5% silver sulfadiazine. The application of the potato peel reduced or eliminated desiccation, permitted the survival of skin cells, and hastened epithelium regeneration. So basically, it prevented, drying out, and it stimulated more skin growth, especially the epithelial layer of skin. Which is funny because the potato peels themselves do not have any sort of antibacterial activity. Now, silver does actually have antibacterial and antimicrobial traits, if I recall correctly, but potatoes do not. Okay, let's see. The easy availability of potato peels and the gauze in which they can be affixed, the simplicity of preparation, the ease of sterilization, and its low cost production make this the dressing of choice for burn wounds in a developing country. That is, I believe it was an Indian study. Yeah, it's a lot of Indian names on it's like Keswani, Patel, and Vartak. But yeah, potatoes, yeah, kicking ass. Potatoes are the king of vegetables. Again, Marge Simpson was right. She just thinks they're neat. And potatoes are neat. So next time you get burned, coffee. Yeah, next time you get burned, don't bother putting on ointment or any kind of gauze. Just slap a potato peel on it. Make sure you're not frying the potato skins though. And it's not actually good for hospitals because, as we all know, hospital food is just the absolute drizzling shits. So if they're just peeling potatoes and just giving people potatoes, I think the patients would be healthier, all things considered. They always say that potato and milk, if you in sufficient quantities, can basically just provide all your nutrients. Which, if you saw the movie The Martian with Matt Damon, that was kind of what he did. Anyway, I'm in favor of just promoting potatoes. Let's check out some comments here. Okay. Ponythroat says that the UK recently banned single-use plastic items. People are banning shit everywhere. Well, yeah, I mean, you all know I'm very much against plastic crap. So, I think plastic should be used for, things that you can't use other materials for, whether it be medical technology or, auto parts. That's good, but plastic should not be used in, just basic food storage and things like that. The microplastics are a pretty big concern with, a lot of us have, even me, everybody has like some degree of microplastics in their bloodstream, which they say is lowering, our hormonal levels and messing up our bodies. Yeah, I mean, I try to get like, glass or stainless steel storage for foods whenever I can help it. Wax paper is also good. Okay, Tony Gilbert says that he agrees that head cheese does look like a wall texture from Doom. Yeah, that's I'm sure it tastes good. I've never had it, and being a New Jersey boy, like Atlantic boy, I've enjoyed the occasional bit of Scrapple, so I can't really judge. But at least Scrapple doesn't look like demonic wallpaper. Speaking of Doom, Ponythroat says Doom did not have skyboxing, as far as I know. Yeah, I have very little experience actually working in the video game industry. I mean, I've done a little music compositions for games that went nowhere and never got made, and I've done a little I've done some like concept art to the extent that I can draw anything. Which, as you can clearly see from my logo, I'm really not that good of an artist. But yeah, I've never actually done any kind of graphic design or programming. I sure as hell can't program. So yeah, I mean, wouldn't know. I know like the technical terms like skyboxing and things, but I wouldn't know if Doom actually had it. Tony Gilbert says Spanish moss also makes a good field dressing, for your information. Yes, I have heard that. Spanish moss is also a very good way to set the mood for your Southern Gothic literary masterpiece. Yes, Spanish moss. Also, it's building insulation and stuffing for furniture, etc., etc. Okay, Pony Throat says the Irish burn ward. Mary's husband set her on fire again. Okay, yes. All right. My enemy says can't program. Are you sure you're Asian? Yes. I mean, my Asian side comes out with playing multiple musical instruments and studying martial arts, so that proves my Asian bona fides. But yes, I've never actually studied any kind of programming. Well, actually, I mean, I take that back. With my website and stuff, I've done like just basic HTML and stuff like that. But specifically game programming, like no, I've never done any kind of game programming. So yes, I suppose in that respect, I lose my Asian credentials because I do not know how to program video games. I mean, it's one of those things that like I've always kind of thought about doing, but I got work and I got martial arts and music. Like I have enough to occupy my time. I don't need to do even more shit. Okay. Liam Roddy says my brother-in-law has Down syndrome and he looks like a potato. Yes, that's oh the edge. Yes, and a lot of people do look like potatoes, especially nowadays. Of course, babies look like potatoes and old people look like potatoes. And a lot of people just look like potatoes nowadays. It's kind of sad. This Lankovich says, didn't Napoleon Dynamite live in Idaho? Yes, yes, he did. You always got to respect the potato farmers. Of course, Napoleon Dynamite never went to a potato farm. He'd go to a chicken farm and made $6 from it. C Punk Messiah says he needs to listen to Man-O-War and my testosterone levels rise. Yep, that's true. Babe Slankovich asks, what is the gelatin made of in the head cheese? Isn't it made of soft tissue like, tendons and ligaments? Let me, gotta go back to the head cheese page. Okay, there's, actually, I'm sorry, head cheese is typically set in aspic, which is a savory gelatin made with meat broth put in molds. So it's basically a, meat stock, like meat fat put into a soup and then frozen and molded. So there's your answer. Okay. Tony Gilbert says Bliff. It's regular gelatin, just not flavored. Yeah, it's aspic. It's meat gelatin. My enemy says people look like mashed potatoes. Yes, they sure do. So yeah, this week was a little bit of a somewhat inane week. A lot of goofiness going on. Nothing like too crazy, but there is some positive science news. In addition to potatoes, winning it, uh, MIT researchers feel that they have solved the riddle of Roman concrete. Why was Roman concrete so durable? It was an unexpected secret of ancient manufacturing and holds the key to designing concrete that lasts for millennia. Yes, as we know, modern concrete kind of crumbles down and has to constantly be repatched every couple of decades, but Roman concrete still stands. The the Pantheon, it's just the Parthenon's in Greece, that's marble. That's the Pantheon, the Colosseum, it's all concrete and it still stands. But why? Why is that the case? So on January 6th, which is a wonderful, wonderful day, they feel like they have discovered the secret. Why does this ultra durable construction material, how is it endured harsh conditions like docks and sewers and seawalls and seismic locations? A joint team of investigators from MIT, Harvard, and universities in Italy and Switzerland. They have discovered ancient concrete manufacturing strategies that incorporate what are called self-healing functionalities. So basically, what self-healing means, it's that they have these sort of white mineral features called lime clasts, and basically they're these kind of hard little pellets in the concrete, and then when it starts to break down, they'll actually break down, and they'll kind of fill in the cracks by themselves. It's I mean, it sounds weird, but it's literally this concrete can heal itself. Yeah, the lime clasts. They thought for many years it was just like a manufacturing uh, deficiency. It was like a manufacturing like byproduct that got stuck in there by accident. But that's wrong. Okay. They use lime in its more reactive form, known as quicklime or calcium carbonate. It's basically if they got hot or wet, the concrete will crack, and then it'll essentially fill in those cracks in the concrete. As soon as tiny cracks form in the concrete, they preferentially travel through the high surface area lime clasts. The material then reacts with moisture in the air, creating a calcium saturated solution, which fills in its crack by itself and strengthens the composite material. So, good on you, people from the universities. Okay, the research team included James Weaver at Harvard, Janelle Mara, or Marag, I don't know how to pronounce that, Maragh at MIT, Paolo Sabatini at the DMAT in Italy, and Michelle Tommaso at the Istituto Meccanica in Switzerland. Good job, guys. Good job. Now, will we implement these traits in our modern day concrete? Hell no. We got to keep that planned obsolescence up. See, the Romans, they built things to last for millennia. We built things to keep up, bullshit union construction contracts so they can constantly patch up the buildings. So I imagine that this secret to long-lasting, millennia long-lasting concrete will be silently shunted to the back and nobody will ever use it ever again. Okay, C-Punk Messiah says Click Team Fusion is a great beginner-friendly game development program. The programming is really simplified, so even my neurodivergent ass can learn it. I might look into that if I ever have the free time. I mean, I remember when I was in like high school, I tried to do like really simple like, RPG maker games, which I never really got far. But yeah, I'll look into that. My enemy says salt water. Well, not specifically salt water from what it looks like. Seems like any kind of moisture, anything that would break down the start to make cracks in the concrete, it would instantly be filled up with the quicklime. And they deliberately put quicklime in their concrete mixture to, sort of self-seal itself. It's self-sealing rather than, I mean, I guess you could say self-sealing or self-healing. Now, I personally find that whole thing very interesting. Archaeology is always Q. But yeah, that's basically most of the good news that happened this week. Got a lot of petty insanity going on. Let's go to Congress first. Because, of course, as Mark Twain said, there is no distinct criminal underclass in America with the possible exception of Congress. Kevin McCarthy is gutting the Congressional Ethics Committee. I mean, I think this is a bit of a hollow gesture considering that, nobody really follows that anyway. Nobody has ethics to begin with in Congress. Yes, the House of Representatives has voted to pass a new set of rules that will severely weaken the ability of the Office of Congressional Ethics to investigate members of Congress for potential wrongdoing like insider stock trading. Now, just to clarify, insider stock trading, that is kind of a bipartisan thing. Or am I the only one who wonders how Nancy Pelosi got so fabulously wealthy? Yeah, I don't. Of course, this is a threat to our democracy. As if our democracy hasn't been getting spit roasted for about a previous century. Okay, I'm going to take some coffee here. right. Let's look at some comments here. My enemy says, brilliant. Presumably referring to the Congressional Ethics Committee. Yeah, I mean, I hate to keep hammering the same point in, but I mean, they really do want to just be like post-apocalyptic warlords, ruling over the wastelands, and every day they just get a little bit closer to it. Okay. All right, so Snopes is trending on Twitter. They are, of course, people are complaining about how Snopes reported that, yeah, people are saying that, vaccine involvement in Lisa Marie Presley's death is completely baseless. Also, yeah, she died the other day. She was 54 years old. Yeah, Snopes says no evidence that her cause of death was vaccine related. I mean, I'm just noticing a lot of young, healthy people are just dropping dead for no reason. But, people just drop dead of heart attacks all the time when you're, 28 years old and, in prime health. And, people always talk about how, Snopes is supposed to be some objective, incorruptible, like truth finding machine. I like to remind you all that Snopes is literally just two very overweight people and a cat living in an apartment. So, I mean, they're about as fallible as anybody else, to be quite honest. Okay, Steve Messiah says we need an independent running for president. I'm sick of the Dems and Republicans tearing each other's throats out. Yeah, you and me both, C-Punk. I mean, I'm a registered independent myself. And it's amazing how, from what I gather, everybody hates both the Democratic and Republican parties, and yet they still keep winning somehow. I guess the unstoppable forces of entropy just, yep, just keep moving along. C-Punk Messiah says, the left and right are capable of finding common ground, but it's the fringes that keep widening the divide. Yeah, I saw something the other day about how pretty much every poll shows that Americans, do not want to intervene in foreign interventions. Americans do not want to go to war. Americans do want to reduce the military. Yet somehow the MIC just keeps trucking. Politics is a crap show. And not just in this country. We have politics being bad elsewhere. Because I don't know if you've been paying attention to what's going on in old Blighty. The royal family continues to just utterly shit the bed. Yeah, amazing how when the Magna Mater, does the term mater familias really is that a thing, or is it just pater familias? I'll look that up. Ah, yes, mater familias. It's not a phrase you hear very often, but anyway, yes. Now that the mater familias is unfortunately no longer with us, the family is just falling apart completely. Prince Harry says, I was born just in case William needs an organ donor. That is a direct quote. Writing in spare. Okay, the Duke of Sussex, now 38 years old, said that he grew up knowing that he was there to give his older brother, Prince William, 40, an organ donor if he needed it. Wow, Prince William had a drinking problem that early in life? Kidding. All right. I was brought into the world in case something happened to Willie, he said, claiming that his parents and grandparents even referred to him and his brother as the heir and the spare, as a form of shorthand. He describes his life as a mission to offer a source of distraction, entertainment, and in case of needs, spare parts. I mean, I would, if I were very mean, I would make a joke about how I question whether or not a royal will be a good organ donor, considering how virulently inbred royals are by definition. I'm kidding, of course. They're only slightly inbred. Okay. The father of two then told an anecdote from when he was 20 years old, and he heard a story about his father's supposed words to his mother, Princess Di, on the day he was born. King Charles III, then Prince Charles, is alleged to have said to his wife, "Wonderful, you've already given me an heir and a spare. I've done my job." Yeah, it's funny that he thinks that they're his children. I mean, what? Sorry. Yeah, detailing Charles III's health woes, his father had constant neck and back pain, for which he partially credited to his father's old polo injuries. I mean, I guess polo can be a pretty violent sport. Guys swinging around the hammers and stuff. Although saying I have a polo injury makes you sound like a ridiculous ponce. I mean, I bet your ass Flash Gordon never got polo injuries. He was too busy fighting on Mongo to get injuries from polo. That's a large amount of people leaving. Hey, Prince Harry also detailed several bombshell revelations about his brother William, including how he recoiled from Meghan's hug during their first awkward meeting. Then there's a picture here. It's amazing how they're only 2 years apart, and yet William is like almost bald. Yeah, so then Prince Harry, of course, has a book out called The Spare, or just Spare, sorry, writing about his life as a very wealthy royal who was brought up to be a kidney donor. Yeah, this is not a great. This is a very dysfunctional family. Anyway, I'm sure Prince Harry's trying to get a TV deal out of this. Okay. Although now I do have to ask the question: Prince Harry's got 2 kids. Are his 2 kids supposed to be organ donors for each other, or perhaps are organ donors for him? The world may never know. Anyway, let's hope that nothing bad happens to Lily and Archie, so they don't have to organ donate to each other. Ditto for George and Charlotte. And yes, as a fan of Berserk, the fact that there is literally a Princess Charlotte does greatly amuse me. Thank you. Okay, so yes, the Royals are an absolute inbred clusterfuck. But speaking of Europe, a refugee in Sweden rapes and beats the crap out of a woman, but he can't be deported because his homeland is too dangerous. So clearly, we have to keep him here. Yes, Syrian refugee Maj Shahada, beat up, raped woman. Yeah, he can't be deported because his homeland is too dangerous. He was having to serve in the military. So clearly, the answer is to have him here in Sweden. I don't know. I don't understand the logic here. By the way, why is his homeland dangerous? I mean, it couldn't have anything to do with other military-aged violent men like himself. I don't know. I think Sweden is slowly starting to turn things around, considering the utter debacle that the whole refugee thing has been. At least I certainly hope so. I mean, I do take a bitter and sardonic amusement at how Europe is finally learning how, you know, having one cool guy of a minority is not the same as having hundreds of thousands of aggrieved minorities in your country. And out of curiosity, has anybody else noticed how Sweden now has like one of the highest rates of rape, definitely in Europe, which is almost done entirely by non-ethnic Swedes? Just FYI. But I'm sure that's just a complete coincidence. Okay. Let's see. Biff Slankovich says, as long as we bestow recognition on Clarence Thomas for Martin Luther King Day, Black History Month, we are barking up the wrong tree. I mean, I have my issues with the Supreme Court myself, namely that I mean, when you get down to it, isn't the Supreme Court really the only branch of the government that actually has power nowadays? What with jury nullification and things like that, and judicial review. Ultimately, it all boils down to the bench, you know, unelected, unelected judges who are legislating from the bench. So, yeah, I have some issues with the Supreme Court, definitely. Okay. But never mind raping quote unquote refugees. We have to deal with real racial problems, like the fact that the word field is a racist word, apparently. The USC School of Social Work is not using the word field, like field work, going into the field, because apparently fields are white supremacist. I don't know, because like slaves worked in fields and therefore fields are racist or something. I don't get it. Let's read this idiot thing. Susan Dvorak Peck, Practicum Education Community, faculty, staff, and students, department name change. As we enter 2023, we'd like to share a change we're making at the SDP School of Social Work to ensure use of inclusive language and practice. Okay, we are not using the term field anymore. This supports anti-racist social work and practice by replacing language that could be considered anti-black or anti-immigrant. Okay, again, how is the term field anti-black or anti-immigrant? It really is just because, slaves work in fields and like migrant workers work in fields, so therefore it's not benign. Okay. Yes, we're going to continue further aligning our actions, behaviors, and practices with anti-racism and anti-oppression. Now take a close and critical look at our profession, our history, our biases, and our complicity in past and current injustices. Yeah, field. And they're going to replace it with practicum. This is going to be incredibly awkward, just in general conversation. It's like, I'm going to go down to the soccer practicum and kick the ball around. The football players are taking the practicum. Let's go on a practicum trip. This is, I don't know, like, I don't even know where to begin with this. Are they literally saying that no white people have ever worked in a field? Like, is the term battlefield still used? I don't know, this, newspeak. It's even stupider than it was in 1984. All right, so now the quote unquote serious news is actually done already. Now we're going to get into the goofy shit side of the stream. There's a lot of that that's happened this week. I mean, not a particularly crazy news week in terms of the actually important things. But yeah, let's see what happened. What am I talking about? First of all, once again, the transgender community is losing its shit about, those terrible cisgender people and their existing. And it's exactly what you think it is. It's a trans woman being absolutely furious at cis women for being women. I've done similar segments to this before, not this particular piece, but similar pieces. But it amuses me, so I'm going to read it to you right now. From Reddit, username and Reddit board are blocked out. This is all verbatim. Holy fuck, I hate cis women. I'm at a restaurant right now, supposed to be a date, but of fucking course, these cis women I was speaking to flaked on me once she learned I was trans, which happens, fuck it, whatever. By the way, time out here. Cis women was the term used here. So were you dating multiple women? Shit, I very rarely pull that off. Anyway, I'm going to continue. But what's driving me fucking bonkers is the table next to me. Three girls, early 20s, slim, bubbly, sundresses, talking about nails and boyfriends and sex and all just basking in their femininity that I spent my life and my savings just trying to get a taste of. It's salt in the wound after being set up by one of their kind. I fucking hate them so much they don't even know it. It's not fair. They'll never ever know the struggle women like us have to go through just to feel like that. So now I'm stuck here listening to them laughing and shouting about their perfect lives and throwing back Bombay gin so I can drive home good and trashed. Somewhere in the distance, I hear Q Lazarus starting up. You, you know, there is really something to be said about the incel to trans pipeline because like a lot of these, I don't want to say all, but I've noticed that a lot of trans women do seem to just virulently hate biological women. They really think they're just fluttering about in their sundresses, having perfect princessy fairy tale lives where nothing bad happens. And they're just sitting there resenting in their you know dresses with their giant man shoulders coming out. This is this is not a healthy way to live your life, pal. You gotta relax. I mean, like I mentioned this last week, but I mean, do I feel a little twinge of anger when I talk to some fat woman who looks like Gerard Depardieu and she can have like 1,000 dudes hollering at her on a dating app? I mean, a little bit, but I don't dwell on it that much. I don't sit across at a table looking at women having a wine and cheese soiree and just drinking gin until I go home in a fit of anger. Again, I mean, I'm obviously not a trans woman, but I cannot understand. I don't understand this mindset. I mean, even when I was at my worst, like teenage boy getting bullied and just full of anger and hatred for life, I didn't hate this much. And of course, this all started when a cis woman flaked out on her because once again, those terrible, awful lesbians just don't want to have sex with men. But what bad people. Okay, Philip Wynn says, "Who asked for this?" As a black man, I didn't. Again, this is I assume you're referring to the that like practicum field thing, and yeah, I mean it's the USC School of Social Work, so I assume it's all entirely like guilty liberal white people who are promoting this, and that's hardly the first time this sort of thing has happened. I talked about this in a previous stream about how the Edmonton Eskimos of the Canadian Football League changed their name to the Edmonton Elks purely at the behest of well-to-do liberal white people. Like the actual Inuit people really could not care less about this. A guy who was interviewed about the football team said, like, look, on this reservation, we don't have clean drinking water, we don't have jobs. The least we have to worry about is some stupid football team. But of course, they changed the team name, and all the liberal white people were satisfied. Their guilt was assuaged. And meanwhile, the Inuits still don't have clean drinking water and employment. It's kind of the same thing. I guarantee you, not a single actual person of color was asked about, whether or not the term field was offensive to them. But they changed it anyway, and it makes language incredibly awkward and stupid. But, as long as the nice liberal white people are happy, all is well in the world. Yeah, so it's a comment going back to that trans woman rage says it best. The comment says, I did not come up with this. I have bitter hatred towards normal straight women. Why won't they show up to date me? The world may never know. And again, I mean, being lonely sucks. I mean, I was supposed to meet some lady tonight, but she got the coof, so I can't do that. And then, yeah. But anyway, I'm meeting up with another lady tonight who I'm gonna be honest, I would never like really put a ring on this woman's finger, but it's I gotta do something at night. So I guess in a dim way, I understand the struggle that this person's going through, but seriously, you can't resent people just for looking the way they were born. I don't know. We should all make like a consortium of guys like this and like incels with their weak chins and fat women and short men. We could all just like they could all just sit around in like a big hotel ballroom and just bitch about how angry they are at the people who have the physical traits they wish they had. Steampunk Messiah says white saviors can get fucked. Oh, yes, they can. They absolutely can, and I bet a lot of them do. Because as we've, as many cheeky people have pointed out, behind every angry, woke woman of color, that she's usually banging some white dude. And we'll get to that in a little while, but we have some other goofy crap to get to first. Yeah, the women continue to suck it up. The cis women this time. An Onlyfans girl beat the crap out of her grandma. Okay? Onlyfans model was arrested for beating her grandmother on video. In a paid video bought by subscribers, the young woman's grandmother can be heard telling her, I'm going to disown you. I didn't raise a whore. The model then beat up her grandma in response. I like how this OnlyFans model still has makeup on in her mugshot. And I gotta say, I gotta respect the grandma. I mean, that's what I would do if I had a daughter who was whoring it up on OnlyFans. And it's good to see that some people in this country still have objective morality, even if it is old people who are not going to be alive much longer. Yeah, it's again, considering that the average OnlyFans girl doesn't she only make like $120 a month or something like that. I mean, it's honestly a work of genius on the part of the OnlyFans guy. It's like, hey, I'm gonna make all these women give me their nudes, and they're gonna pay me for the privilege of doing it. So remember, kids, if you want to get women's money and attention, you got to just give them away. Just dangle on a fishing line the possibility that they could get attention and the possibility of just adoring simps all around the world. And they'll throw themselves at you. It's embarrassing. Yep, OnlyFans and the online sphere have been a disaster for the female race. And to be honest, I don't know if you can even put that genie back in the bottle. I mean, what are you gonna do? You're gonna like tell them to not do that? I hate to say it, but actually, speaking of technology run amok, I also saw that Sony has patented, an early technology in which advertisements will continue to play on a television unless you say the name of the brand being advertised, and then we'll stop the commercials. So, let's say you're watching TV and you see a commercial for McDonald's. That commercial, this technology is not on the market yet, but don't sell it too short. Basically, that commercial will just play over and over again until you say McDonald's, and then it recognizes your voice saying McDonald's, and then it will continue with your programming. Angry Beard Man in Supermax, Colorado is grimly nodding his head in satisfaction here. Yeah, combine that with the OnlyFans, combine that with the billboards in the night sky. Technology has to stop, and I say that as I live stream. I mean, I don't want to say we're going to go full Butlerian jihad, but yeah, I feel like we might go full Butlerian jihad. And fun fact, a lot of people kind of imagine that the Butlerian jihad was some sort of Terminator-esque, robot war, but that was not the case. In the original Frank Herbert, writings of Dune, and I quote, sorry, we must negate the machines that think. Humans must set their own guidelines. This is not something machines can do. We need reasoning, not programming. We are the ultimate program. We dump the things that destroy us as humans. So it was not, just like you do a robot war. It was, it was something more like this. Society was being destroyed by, the ease of machines. And the people rebelled against them. And that resulted in the commandments of the Orange Catholic Bible. Thou shalt not make machines in the likeness of human mind. I feel like if Frank Herbert had, foreseen OnlyFans and like advertising televisions and space night sky billboards, he would have put that in, certainly. Of course, Brian Herbert, his dumbass son, and Kevin Anderson in those crappy, sequel or prequel Dune novels. They made it just, herder, like, robot war, Terminator shit, because Brian Herbert's a goddamn hack. Yeah, but later in Jihad, when? Okay, C-Punk Messiah says, I watched Fritz the Cat again, and it poked fun at the white savior mindset back in the 70s. Things have not changed much. Yes, yeah, that's, I always like the scene in the park with the gay crow. That was, why does James Earl Jones always have to play a black man? Yeah, yes, Ralph Bakshi was a very, very, I say was, he is a very, streetwise, savvy, and intelligent man. It's a damn shame that he's not more successful. Great artists are never recognized in their own time, I suppose. All right. All right, now we're getting to pop culture news. Now, there's a really big pop culture thing, which is actually trending on Twitter right now with hundreds of thousands of tweets, but we're not going to get to that just yet. I'm going to talk about something else in a second. We're talking about the new Marvel whoop-de-doos, and guess who's going to be in the new Ant-Man movie? MODOK. Fucking MODOK. The mechanical organism designed only for killing. Yep, we knew it was going to come to this. We knew eventually it would get here. People think like, oh, comic books are cool. No, comic books are some goofy bullshit. With like MODOK and like the elf with the gun and like funky Thor. I told you people it was going to happen eventually. Yep, and here we are. We got MODOK, giant flying head with little tiny arms and legs. I'm sorry, like, I know he's like powerful and stuff, but I've never been able to take MODOK seriously. And yet they've got him like in the trailer. It literally just looks like it's just a giant CGI head with little arms and legs. It looks stupid. I guess we've run out of like cool things and we gotta like put MODOK into things. Elf with the gun when? Luke Cage Thor when? The Armless Tiger Man when? Yeah, we got MODOK. Let's put in the Armless Tiger Man. I want to see the Armless Tiger Man in a movie. I want him now, damn it. Ugh. Well, you see, people, when a comic book has to be, put out every month, written by multiple artists, things get a little wacky in the mythology. That's why I say I kind of like comic books that are written by one guy and they have a set time limit, so to speak. There's a set like story that they kind of want to convey. Alrighty. Okay, what else happened in pop culture? Okay, here's the big news happening in pop culture. Mindy Kaling new, fucking adult Scooby-Doo show that premiered on HBO Max is apparently the absolute drizzling shits. 50% on Rotten Tomatoes from the critics and 8% from audience members. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what anybody was expecting. Mindy Kaling is a goddamn hack, and she always has been. And her, let's just say her heart is on her sleeve for this one. And by heart, I of course mean her, shall we say, socio-political views. Yes, let's make Velma a short, dumpy brown girl, just like the creator of the show. That's just a complete coincidence. I'm gonna spend 30 seconds humiliating Freddie Jones for having a tiny penis in the court of law. And she just goes on and on with this. And yes, Mindy Kaling is still upset about BJ Novak dumping her. Clearly. What a goddamn waste of Constance Wu and Glenn Howerton. And how the hell did you not get the quadratic formula right in this stupid show, Mindy? I hate to say it, but like, you think an Indian person would have a better grasp of basic calculus? This is the way it's presented in the show. X equals b square root of b2 plus 4ac over 2a. That is not correct. The quadratic formula is x equals minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Jesus, Mindy. Maybe you should ask your brother who lied about being black to get into medical school how to do the goddamn quadratic formula. Oh my. Oh, by the way, in this terrible new show, Shaggy is a black guy who's literally a beta simp for Velma who offers to sell his organs so she can make money for some crap. I'm not joking. Why does Mindy Kaling still get work? Like, can someone answer that, please? C-Punk Messiah says, what's with the trend of writing cunty female characters? Well, you see, in modern America, women are taught that being, bitchy and aggressive is, strong whammon and it makes them a girl boss. Which is ironic because they also say that these sort of aggressive bullying behaviors are, toxic and bad when men do it, but it's really good when women do it. Which, yeah, this I will not be watching this show. I was never a huge Scooby-Doo fan to begin with, but yeah, this show looks like absolute shite. Yeah, I think we all owe an apology to the Mystery Incorporated show from 2011, which I actually thought was pretty damn good. Like, come on, it had Harlan Ellison like doing voices and stuff. But no, we had to cancel it for this crap. Just like they had to cancel the 2011 Thundercats show, which was really good for that crappy like Cal Arts show. Ugh. Well, I guess HBO Max has to promote some kind of show, because from what I gather, House of the Dragon is the only good show they've got nowadays. Oh, and here's some more screencasts from Mindy Collins' Crap Fest. Fred's a rich white guy with a tiny dong. White girl with too much money. Cough, cough. Wow, Mindy Collins seems to really hate white people for some reason. And by the way, I have to ask. First of all, you're Mindy. Your dad was an architect. Your mom was a doctor. You went to Dartmouth. Like, I don't think you have any business lecturing anybody on privilege. You're a girl from Cambridge, Massachusetts. I mean, skin color aside, like you have like about as waspy of a background as you could possibly imagine. And with regards to privilege, again, your brother's grades are not good enough to get into medical school as an Indian man. So he had to pretend to be a black man to get into college. So, I question how, bad the quote unquote mediocre white men are, Mindy. It's a fucking again, what a waste of actual good comedic actors like Glenn Howerton and Constance Wu. I wish I could get better material, in all honesty. Yeah, I'm gonna take this, famous children's program. I'm just gonna like put a bunch of lame penis jokes and social justice bullshit into it. I'm a good writer, herp a derp. In all honesty, what they should have done is they should have like th- they should have, instead of revamping Scooby Doo, they should have revamped all those like not Scooby Doos that they had in the '70s. All those like knockoff shows that were basically the same shit over and over again, but slightly different, like Funky Phantom and Speed Buggy, and technically you count like the Mr. T cartoon, in which Mr. T was the wacky, well, he was the leader, but he also had a dog who had like a mohawk. So I guess that was that. You have that, and you have the Happy Days cartoon, which had a talking dog. Like that's what I would have done. I would just make like I would just kind of take the piss out of like the Hanna Barbera like phoning it in cartoons, and just make a show on that, and then you could cram all your dick jokes into it, and make fun of what a bunch of goofy hack ass nonsense it was. But that would require some amount of creativity and knowledge of the Hanna Barbera library beyond just the bare basics. And Mindy Kaling does not have that. Oh, and by the way, these characters are all teenagers, and yet there's multiple nude scenes. Classy, Mindy. Classy. Okay. Shinseki Evans says the weird thing is the media isn't trying to defend the Velma show that they usually do with woke media. Yeah, I've noticed that. Like even they're like, whoa, this is way too bad. Yeah, some reviews I've seen put it best. They said like this show reads like a group of right wingers doing a parody of a woke left wing show. Pretty. That's a good way to put it. Oh, and also, bang up job making a Scooby Doo cartoon that doesn't have the dog in it. Like, did you not understand what this franchise is about? Also, Shaggy was never a simp. Okay. Yeah, a little bit of pop culture trivia here. Shaggy was based on Bob Denver's character in The Many Loves of Dobie Gillis. He was always like, a spastic, like borderline stoner weirdo, but he wasn't like a simp. He sure as hell wouldn't simp for a fat, dumpy girl and like offer to sell his organs for her. Again, I wonder if this is Mindy Kaling projecting on what she wants black men to do for her. Okay, C Punk Messiah says when we need our girl boss characters who are encouraging to men and women to have a good attitude. What we need are women who actually have life experience to write characters, because only a sheltered rich girl who went to from rich family to Ivy League directly to Hollywood would be able to write a stupid ass character like this instead of actually having life experience. Obviously there's no way you could enforce this, but I honestly feel like every person should do a year of just working like a shit job just to get some life experience. Like, no matter how rich you are, like you should, you know, have like a year of experience, working as a waiter or like driving a truck or working construction or something, just to, see what the real world is like. We all know that's not going to happen. All right. In cinema news, Kino news, as I mentioned several months ago, I think it was last year technically. Yeah, Francis Ford Coppola, who has been enjoying great success and a quiet retirement with his winery, his vineyards, vintery. What is the word? Okay, it is winery. Yes, he's stepping out of retirement to make one last crack at making true cinema. Megalopolis is his project. And according to multiple sources, his filming of Megalopolis has become a complete shit show. It's about halfway through shooting. It has in the last week lost key creative backstage talent, and they lost the entire visual effects team. So clearly, this is going to be like the greatest movie ever, because as we all know, Francis Ford Coppola plus disaster of production means great movie. So this is Apocalypse Now redo the redo. I mean, we all know that Apocalypse Now's shooting was a complete debacle, in which Francis Ford Coppola attempted to commit suicide at least twice. Lawrence Fishburne was shooting up heroin. The Filipino military had to take its helicopters back to fight the MILF. Yeah, the Moro Islamic Liberation Front. Was yeah, and what came out was movie magic. So I'm going to assume that Megalopolis will do something of the same. But I mean, he is in his 80s now. I really don't think he has the energy to like threaten suicide on multiple occasions and like edit an entire film. Please get that man help. Anyway, I'll certainly be first in line to see Megalopolis. I don't know about you. And finally, we come to Wagie's posting Ls. Well, first off, it's more of a consumer L. In that, yes, I mentioned this months ago, but now you can have installment plans and financing for the most mundane crap. In this case, today, you can finance a case of Mountain Dew. In New Zealand, okay, a Mountain Dew Baja Blast 36 pack, 12 ounces each, will cost you $9.95 in New Zealand dollary dues. Or you can pay 4 interest-free payments of $2.49. Jeez, I don't know what's worse, the fact that economically times are so bad you have to finance soda, or the fact that people would in fact finance soda. Like you don't. Jesus. You should not be. First of all, you shouldn't be buying like garbage sugar water in general. But you sure as shit shouldn't be financing it. Also, remind me, what flavor is Baja Blast? Like, what does Baja taste like? I'm curious as to what that is, what that tastes like. A Ponythroat says he got called away for 40 minutes. Well, you missed a very interesting conversation about Mindy Kaling's shitty Scooby Doo cartoon. So, yeah, I don't know if you heard, but it really, really sucks. The animation looks like garbage. It's a waste of good voice acting. It's, it needlessly humiliates and emasculates Black Shaggy for no reason. It's just, it's shit. Okay, Ponythroat says the Baja Blast is lime flavored sodas. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I still don't know what regular Mountain Dew tastes like. It's just it tastes like green. It is like if you could like if you could somehow quantify the taste of green, like that's what Mountain Dew is. But yeah, if you're gonna buy soda, like don't finance it. Like I very occasionally like I will, if I'm hurting or if I'm like late or I'm saying if I were hurting for money, which I'm not now, but if I was, coming home late or whatever, there's a pizza place near me. They offer, a $5 special. It's you get two slices of plain pizza and a soda. Like once in a while I will have a soda, but I'm certainly not gonna finance it. But Stankovich says he coached a girls soccer team. They love their garbage sugar water. Don't forget the chips. Yes, I refuse to eat garbage sugar water and peasant slop because I refuse to let the globalists win. Damn it! I cook all my food in beef tallow and lard. Actually, I don't, but I wish I could. Okay. Oh, and speaking of potatoes, bring it all the way back to the beginning. Now we get to the real Wagie Ls. A picture says, Merry Christmas. It was a record profit year, so here's some baked beans and potatoes you can bake to celebrate. Thank you for your efforts. It's literally just, you got 4 packs of 4 potatoes, 16 potatoes, 5 cans of Bush's baked beans, and kosher salt and black pepper. Yeah, celebration. Woo! That's about, let me see, 16 potatoes. Let's see. You got a $5 bag of potatoes. That's like, that's about $15 worth of just, staple food that the company is giving the employees for record profits. Wow, like 4,000 calories. Thanks, Daddy Corporation. Also, I'm not entirely sure. Is this an individual package, or is it like the whole company gets just these small bits of potatoes? Because like that would be even sadder if it was like the entire company has to like just scramble to get whatever scraps of potatoes and baked beans they can get. Oh, who am I kidding? It's probably the entire company just has to reach and grab like whatever they can get. Yes, Wagie, grab potatoes for my amusement. Ha ha ha. Okay, Ponythroat says, celebrate with this British tier misery meal. Yes. Gareth Smith says, I enjoy Kung Fail. We're going to do a new one. Well, like I said, it'll probably be sometime next, or I guess towards the beginning of the next school year, because, I have, still teaching, got to do my lesson plan. So once that kind of calms down, I can just reuse the same lesson plans over and over again. I will have more time to make videos. So, that's the problem. I work a real job now, which, does make me a veritable windfall of money, at least for my purposes, but it doesn't give me much free time. I mean, I'm pretty much swamped. Like I go to work, I got to do my lesson plans. I can get them done just in time for me to go to martial arts. So, I got that. Then, of course, before martial arts, I got to stretch out because I, like an insane person, resolved to do the splits. So I got to, stretch out. I prefer to stretch out before martial arts than afterwards because, really doing like a heavy stretching workout before going to sleep is a recipe for a bad night's sleep. But yeah, anyway, back to the wages. Potatoes and salt and pepper and beans. Corporate noblesse oblige. Okay, Gareth Smith says, what kind of training are you doing? Jiu-jitsu, if that's what you're asking. Oh, if you're asking about the splits, well, I'm doing, I have a routine of, five, five stretches for the front split and five for the side split. I got, standing pikes, standing calf raises, like deep lunges, things like that, Cossack squats. And, I have noticed like marked gains in flexibility already. Like I can put my hands flat on the floor when I do like just a standing toe touch, and that really like blasts your hamstrings. Yeah, same thing with elevating the ball of the foot to stretch the calf. I can really hold that to the floor. Yeah, so I'm definitely getting more flexible. Like, I can kick higher. I can kick with better form too. Like I can like now I can basically kick to the face with a front kick and then just slam the guy with my heel, which is the proper form. But yeah, I will admit the proper splits still elude me. And then the front splits are making great progress. Side split, not so much. I'm going to be honest. That's going to be much slower. But you know, I have all year to work on this. And finally, one more Wagie L. Okay. The picture says, I left my job shortly after receiving this quote unquote prize for my good work. So, congratulations, you've won an extra 10-minute break. 10-minute is underlined. Rules. Number one, you must give a 24-hour notice for a 10-minute break. You don't have to pick the same day. You cannot add it to your regular break. It expires within 30 days. Choose wisely. Wow, I can break a whole 10 minutes. That's just, oof. Man, that's a more than anything else, like that's an argument to go to school. I mean, I have my issues with teaching, but the pay is good and honestly, like it's not that bad. Like I do like working with the kids. The only thing I don't like is having to do all the paperwork and stuff. But yeah, woof. Thank God I'm not a wagey. I mean, I can't imagine like groveling for like a 10-minute break or doing like those stupid like Walmart like wagey shuffles. Which I've talked about that before. Every so often I have to go on YouTube and watch. Gotta watch those like Walmart like wagey shuffles, which are alleged character and team building exercises that are just humiliating. I'm surprised there haven't been more like workplace shootings at Walmart because that is I I know for a fact like if I ever worked at Walmart within the first week I would punch my boss in the face if he made me do like a little wagey dance. 23rd says 10 minutes is probably long enough to get the AR-15 out of the car and walk back. Well, I mean, those Amazon distribution centers are really they are enormous. Just enormous like gray like brutalist Stalinist like hellholes. So it may take you 10 minutes just to walk to the car. I don't know about that. I mean, I briefly worked at the Amazon distribution center, and it was a very big parking lot. Let's put it that way. Anyway, that does it for my prepared remarks. So if you people have something to say it now. Meanwhile, I will pour myself some more coffee. Gareth Smith says the Wagie dance, laughing face. Oh yeah, that's a surprisingly common thing I see nowadays. Yeah, just go on YouTube, look up like the Walmart dance. It's like they have these like little group cheers, like we are Walmart, set to the tune of "We Will Rock You," and then they have like the one I was watching the other day was them dancing to "Surfing Bird," and they're recording these Wagie shuffles just so they can see like who's not enthusiastic enough. In the same way that Stalin would shoot the guy who didn't clap enthusiastically enough. And then, of course, there's been several Wagie Ls accounts on Twitter. The old one was the best, which unfortunately got purged. But yeah, it was like it's like I made my Grubhub dancer do a dance. Look how happy he is. And it was just this guy who was literally on the verge of tears having to dance. And the guy, the Grubhub driver was black, by the way, which, there's something I find deeply unsettling about forcing a black man to dance for his keep. I'm reminded of the third Flashman book, Flash for Freedom, which took place on a slave ship. They would force the slaves to come out from under the slave quarters and just, dance about on the deck for a few minutes just to get some fresh air and exercise. Yeah, it reminds me a lot of that. C-Punk Messiah says I should check out Manila Road. They're a metal band. I will check them out. Thank you for the suggestion. Biff Slankovich says, keep up the good work. Yes, thank you, Biff. Of course, the thing about I've not like Gareth, like I've known for a long time that like my Kung fails and like workout fails, those are by far my most popular works. And there's a part of me I really do want to make more of them. But of course, my day job gets in the way. And of course, if I did make more Kung fails, I'd probably have much more subscribers than I do now. But it's like, do I want to work like bitch jobs so I can have more free time, just in the hopes of maybe getting money from YouTube? I mean, I have said that like if I could just make like $1,000 a month from YouTube, I could combine that with my music second job, and I could basically just you know never have to work like a real job again. But of course, I can't do that. I only make about $150 a month from YouTube, and a few other bucks from Patreon, my book sales. So probably about $200 a month is what I make. Now, of course, I have about 5,065 subscribers, and if all of you people gave me $1 a month, I could just do this full time. Hint, hint. C-Punk Messiah says, Fail Sons helps me keep my ass in check. Well, I'm glad. The urge to teach is ingrained deep within me, even before I got my actual certification. Hey, let's see if anybody else has anything else to say. Give you a couple minutes to say your last pieces. Okay. Garrett Smith says content creation isn't labor intensive. Yes, it is. All right, so with that, Garrett Smith says he appreciates me in my channel. Thank you. I do want to make more content. Definitely during the summer I will, and hopefully in the next school year I'll be able to make more scripted content. Like I want to do two things a week. One live stream and one video. But we shall see. Anyway, with that, for Larsen Halleck, I'm Larsen Halleck. All of you have a good day.